Hey everyone, it's Patty. I'm so excited to be sharing with you another fall video, and this one was super fun to make because it is a fall bake and craft with me. So in the beginning of the video, I'm going to be sharing with you one of my favorite fall treats to make every single year. Anytime we go to a get together, I bring this dessert, and it's pumpkin bars with a cream cheese frosting. And this was especially fun to make because the kids helped me make them, and they love to get in the kitchen and make special treats too. So it was fun to make our first kind of fall treat of the season. And then after we are done baking, I also share a DIY with you guys. And I used a bunch of stuff from the Target dollar spot and the Dollar Tree to make kind of like a fall wreath. And I really enjoy crafting around this time of year and around Christmas time and fall time, just because I feel like it's a really fun way to make decorations in your house your own and express your personality and kind of what you're feeling for that season. I love fall because I feel like it starts to bring out the creative side in people, and I love seeing how people are creative in their own way. And baking and crafting are two of my favorite things, so I feel like it only made sense to make a video with two things that I enjoy so much, and it just makes it feel cozy to be able to make the house smell like pumpkin and have freshly baked goods, and then also have a craft that is made homemade. So I hope you guys enjoy this video and get some fun ideas. Let me know what you think about this type of video in the comments.
Hey everyone, it's Patty. So I'm really excited for today's video. Today I'm going to be sharing with you a fall treat recipe, and I have 3 little helpers here. And then make sure you stay tuned to the end because I'm also going to be sharing with you a DIY, a fall DIY decor as well. So make sure you watch the whole thing, that way you can see the DIY at the end. The treat that we're going to be making today is one of my favorites. I always make it every year, and it's something that I always like to bring to get-togethers and things during the fall time, so I wanted to share that with you guys. I'm going to be linking the original recipe in the description box, but I do change some things in the recipe, so I'm going to write the things that I change in the description box. That way you guys have both recipes and you can choose what you want to use and what you want to change. So let's go ahead and get started. You guys ready to make some fall treats?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And this is our baby. I got Ella, and she's 1 year old. I'm 6 years old, and Hunter's 3 years old. Enjoy the video.
So the first step is we're gonna add all our wet ingredients to the bowl, and then we're gonna mix it in the mixer, and then we'll add the dry ingredients to that. Okay, the first step is going to be to add 1.5 cups of sugar. That is one of the changes I make to the recipe. It calls for a little bit more, but I don't like things as sweet, so we add a little bit less, still a good amount of sugar. So we're gonna add 1.5 cups, so each of the kids gets to add half a cup of sugar. Hunter, can you dump it in? Dump it all in.
Maybe we can go in order. Now it's Ella's turn.
Okay, perfect. Okay, don't put your fingers in because we're gonna share our treats with friends, and we don't want to spread germs. Okay, Ellie, you want to put it in? Yay!
But we're not. Well, we're spreading. We're not. Well, we're real.
Okay, can you dump this?
But
Good job.
kids won't.
Next, we're gonna add 4 eggs, and I'm gonna do the egg part. We're gonna add 1. Can you guys count out loud with me as I add them?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Ellie, can you say 4? 4. Very good. The next step is for a cup of oil. The recipe calls for vegetable oil. I prefer avocado oil, but I'm sure you can use any of those lighter oils that you choose. So I'm going to go ahead and put 1 cup, and I'm going to have Hunter pour in the oil. Pour it in. Good job. You're going to get a turn next. Leah, can you put this in the sink, please? And then the last wet ingredient is pumpkin. So the girls are going to each do a little bit of the pumpkin.
Can I do a little bit?
Well, you got to do the oil, so the girls get to do the pumpkin, okay? Ellie, you ready? Okay, can you scoop it out? Scoop. Good job. Now, Leah.
Pumpkin.
Scoop it out. Pretty cool, huh? Ah! Okay.
Leah, I'm not in the first so yummy. Delicious. What are you doing now?
Now we're gonna do all the dry ingredients.
Ooh. Hey, no, nothing's inside there.
Okay, 100.
Look. Ooh, baking powder.
No, this is flour. Okay, so the first step is going to be to add 2 cups of flour. So I'm gonna let the kids do
Can I
that.
do it first?
Yeah, we're gonna go in order.
What is this?
Hold on.
Teaspoon? Is this a teaspoon?
Yeah, that's the teaspoon. Go ahead and dump it in the bowl.
I want to.
Good
I
job.
want to do it. I want to do it.
Ella.
Ella, you gotta do it by yourself.
Okay, Ella, you ready to dump it? Say yes, please.
Do you want to dump it by yourself? Come on. Dump it.
Good job.
Good job, Ella.
Okay, and then,
Get me. Whoa.
okay, now Leah, don't put your fingers in. Okay, dump it. Good job. Okay, next we're going to add 2 teaspoons of baking powder.
Can I do baking powder first?
Yeah, you're gonna do a teaspoon. Okay, dump it in.
Can I do it by myself?
Yeah, baking powder, 1 teaspoon. Good job. Ella, you ready?
Look at them.
Your turn, Ella.
Look at them.
Good job, Ella.
Good job. I feel like I'm so proud of you, Ella.
Okay, next it calls for cinnamon. I actually prefer pumpkin pie spice. I feel like it gives it a nice kick, so that's what I use instead. So we're gonna put 2 teaspoons of the pumpkin pie mix. That's okay, we'll clean it. Okay, so can you put a teaspoon?
Whoa. It's hard to get some.
And then,
Is it my turn?
yeah,
Is it time to get some?
and then you're gonna put some.
Oh, what? Wait.
And
Is my
then-
turn free? Is it free?
Hold on, Ella gets a different turn. Then we're gonna do a teaspoon of salt. That's what I said, we always need you.
Oh.
Okay. And then the last dry ingredient is baking soda. And it's gonna be 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Yes. Okay, Leah, you ready? Can you dump that one in? You dump it in.
Soft.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then we're gonna just mix all of these.
Can I
before-
mix it?
Yep, mix. Okay, now Ella gets a turn. Ella, can you mix? Okay, now Leah gets a turn. Leah, can you mix? Great job, guys. Okay, so now Mommy's gonna take over and we're gonna put everything in the mixer. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and mix all the wet ingredients, and then once everything's fully mixed, I'm gonna slowly add in our dry ingredients. My 13 by 9-inch pan grease, and the oven is preheated to 350. I will let you know after how long I ended up cooking it for. I have a newer oven that cooks things faster than my old oven did, so this varies by oven and I feel like even state. So I'll let you know how long I end up cooking it for, but like I said, it will vary depending on where you live and what type of oven you have. Now it's time to make the cream cheese frosting. So I have one 8-ounce pack of cream cheese softened and half a cup of butter softened. And I always use salted. I know a lot of times it calls for unsalted, but I always prefer salted butter. So I'm gonna go ahead and mix that. Once it's creamed, then I'm gonna start adding some powdered sugar. So So I'm going to start off with 1 cup of powdered sugar, and then the recipe calls for 2 cups, but I don't always put the full 2 cups. I kind of eyeball the 2nd cup and sometimes put a little bit less. Okay, and the last step is I'm gonna just stir everything, make sure everything gets mixed smoothly, and then I'm gonna add about a teaspoon of vanilla. So here is my cake sheet, because I'm gonna make these into bars. And I definitely, normally when I make this, I actually make it into a cake. The recipe is for bars, but I love making it into like a 2-tiered cake. And then I put the cream cheese in between the 2 layers. And it looks really pretty, and I love taking that to places. But I'm actually making these, we're gonna have a little bit, and then the rest my husband's gonna take to his job and share with his coworkers. So I wanna be able to cut it into bars where you don't wanna take like a half-eaten cake to someone. So I thought bars would be perfect. That way the kids can try them, and then he can take the rest to his job and they can try them there. So I let this cool for several hours now, and I ended up cooking it for just under 25 minutes. So just so you know that. Now I'm gonna go ahead and frost my my cake, and I did end up putting a little bit less powdered sugar just because I feel like the cream cheese and the sugar together end up being really sweet. So I ended up doing, instead of 2 cups of sugar, I did 1 3/4 cup of sugar for the frosting, and I still feel like it's thick enough, especially because you stick it in the fridge after, so I think it'll be just fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and frost this, and then the final touch is I love to sprinkle it with cinnamon, and then I cut them up. All frosted, and I sprinkled cinnamon on top. Now I'm gonna stick it in the fridge at least for an hour to like get the frosting hard enough before I cut it. So I usually just like lightly cover it and then stick it in the fridge. That way it hardens before I cut it, because if not, the frosting will kind of make a mess everywhere. So these taste so delicious. Now the true test is gonna be what the kids think. The taste, guys?
Good.
Is it a thumbs up?
Mm-hmm.
Can you guys give me?
I didn't have tried her yet.
Oh, okay. Can you give me a thumbs up? Thumbs up.
Ella, can you give mommy a thumbs up? First eat it, okay?
You want to try it, Ella?
You like it?
Is it good? Yum. Can you say delicious?
Yes.
Delicious. What do you think, Bubba?
Mama like it, but I would like it's yummy, and I like it.
Yay! What do you think, Miss Leah? Are you guys master chefs?
Uh-huh. I like eating that.
Good job, chefs.
Now onto the craft or DIY portion of this video. So for this craft you will need this weave basket that I picked up from the Dollar Spot. It was $3, and then I used lamb's ear from the Dollar Spot. They also have lamb's ear at Hobby Lobby or Joann's. It was just what I had on hand already. Then I found this beautiful pick This was a little bit pricier, but I'm going to be using it in a few different places. I just used a couple of little stems from this big bundle here, so I felt like it was worth the price because I'm going to be using it in a bunch of different places. Then I have wheat that I thrifted, but I know you can buy wheat at most craft stores like Michael's, Joann's, Hobby Lobby. I just had some on hand. Then I had these pumpkins on hand already. This one was a pack from Hobby Lobby, and then I have some Dollar Tree pumpkins. These I had from last year, but I know they have them again this year. Then I used this word harvest, which I got from the Dollar Tree last year. Pretty sure they have similar ones this year. I spray painted it black. I showed you the back just to show you that it's galvanized, and I just like the matte black. I feel like it popped a little bit more. So the first step is I trimmed the lamb's ear just so it lays a little bit flatter onto my woven basket. So I ended up trimming them kind of where like the three stems meet. That's where I decided to trim it. The ones from Hobby Lobby are a little bit longer and skinnier, so depending on what look you're going for, those might be better or not work as well. Then I took off they're kind of bundled together into three stems. I took off one of the stems to make it just a little bit less thick because I felt like it was a little bit too thick for the size of the woven basket. Then I had copper wiring on hand. Just use whatever type of, if you have the green one, I know the Dollar Tree sells it. This is what I had, so it's what I used. So I ended up weaving the copper wiring through like the handle of the woven basket. That way you can't see it on the outer rim. And then I'm going to be covering up the bottom with pumpkin, so it doesn't make a difference that it's on the top portion. I just didn't want it shown on the outside. So first I lined up the lamb's ear, and I made sure they were kind of proportionate on each side, and then I put the wiring on that. And then what I did is I got the wheat and I lined them up. I knew I wanted three on each side, kind of like one taller and two a little bit shorter, so I lined those up before I tied it down with the copper wiring. And then once I lined it up, I cut the stems of it and then I tied everything together. And like I mentioned, wasn't really too concerned with how the wiring was laid, just because I knew I was going to be covering it with some pumpkins and some of those like orange and mustard color picks that I showed earlier, so I wasn't super worried about it. I just wanted to make sure the wiring did not show on the outside of the basket. So then once I did one side, I went ahead and tried to make the wheat as proportionate as possible on the other side. But I understand it's wreath and not everything has to be perfect, but I tried to make it look at least uniform, and I went ahead and cut the other side of the stems and I tied it to the lamb's. I tied this final bundle to the lamb's ear, like both lamb's ear and the wheat. So I went ahead and did that next. Once all of the wheat was tied and the lamb's ear was tied with the copper wiring, I took my hot glue gun and I glued a few leaves and the middle wheat, just because it wasn't laying exactly how I wanted it to, and I wanted everything to look kind of proportionate. So I just glued. I didn't want it to look too stiff either, so I just decided instead of gluing like everything down, I just glued the middle leaf, the middle like largest leaf, and the middle wheat, just so those can kind of be like the most proportionate, and then the other two kind of laid nicely. Then I glued my largest pumpkin in the center where all the copper wiring was, and then the other two pumpkins from the Dollar Tree had clips on them, so it's really nice because I just clipped them to the lamb's ear. Later on, one of the pumpkins ended up not laying exactly how I wanted it to, so I just had to hot glue it. Then I ended up cutting off little bundles from that larger floral stem, just to add a pop of color. It has kind of like that rusty orange and mustard color, so I did little bundles. Each little bundle had like three little, I don't know, leaf things. I don't know what they're called. Let me know if you know what they're called in the comments. But each one had like 3 little floral things in each bundle, and I put one on each side of the white pumpkins, and that did a really nice job covering the copper wiring, and it added that pop of color. Then the final step is I glued down this harvest sign in the center of the wheat basket, and I really like how it turned out. I like that it had like a pop of mustard and orange because I'm using a lot of that, yet it still had a lot of neutrals. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think of the DIY and the baked good in the comments down below. I hope you enjoyed watching, and let me know how you guys get creative during the fall season. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!